Gentlemen, what is going on today? My name is Ryan Mickler. I'm the host and the founder of the Order of Man podcast and movement. Welcome here today. Today, I want to talk with you about taking control of your financial destiny. It's clear with the way the economy is and inflation and the stagnation and the fact that everything's getting more expensive and your income doesn't seem to be going up with it. I've been talking about these issues for years and years and years. Some people are heeding the advice, not only from me, but other people sounding the alarm. Other people are sitting back thinking that maybe life will change or the circumstance will change. And although it might, we're not going to leave that to chance. It's up to us as men to take control of every element and aspect of our life that we can. And that includes our finances. That includes our financial provisions and resources so that we can live the kind of lives that we want to live, that we can go out and serve those we want to serve. We can give abundantly. We can have experiences and we can live a rich, beautiful life. And when I say rich, yes, I'm talking about financial prosperity, but I'm also talking about all the fulfillment, purpose, meaning that you're after. Now, some people will say, Ryan, money's not the most important thing. And I agree, it's not. But we'd have to be delusional to believe that it isn't important, that it isn't a factor. Now, before I get into this, what I do want to tell you is that money is just a metric of perceived value. It's nothing more, it's nothing less. It doesn't have a soul. It's not the root of all evil. It doesn't have any intentions. It isn't just miraculously given to you in abundance or repulsed from you. It's amoral. It's just a metric of perceived value. So the more perceived value that you add, the more that you'll create abundance and prosperity in your life. Now, some people will say, yeah, it's just a metric of value, but it's not, it's perceived value. And that's an important distinction because other people have to decide whether or not they're going to spend money with you and whether you're going to be able to build those financial resources. So this list is a little bit different than maybe you have seen in the past. It's not your basic finance 101. I'm talking specifically about secrets to building entrepreneurial wealth. Now, before I get into this, just want to mention real quickly that our exclusive brotherhood, the Iron Council, is still open. We have an entrepreneurship channel. We also have a finance channel in there. And we have hundreds, if not thousands of men inside talking about these issues, talking about questions they have, help promoting each other's businesses, using each other's services, offering insight, consult, mentorship, and anything that would help all of the brothers inside the Iron Council, not only with entrepreneurship and finances, but anything from fatherhood and firearms and martial arts and getting in shape and locking in your nutrition, locking in your diet, starting a new business, anything that you might be interested in. We have specific channels dedicated and moderators talking about those specifically. So check it out at orderofman.com/Iron Council. It's only open for a few more days. Let's get into this. Number one, guys, as we're trying to take control of our financial destiny, number one is that you have to track everything. The metrics are so crucial. And yet so many men think that they're doing okay, or they don't need to track it. They don't take the time or the effort to figure out where all the money is coming from, where it's all going. And you'd be surprised. I'd be willing to bet if you don't track, I'd be willing to bet that you are bringing in less to the household than you think you are. And you're spending money in places that you didn't even think, through subscriptions and stopping at the gas station and entertainment and dining out. Maybe it's unnecessary expenses or costs, or you have people on your team that you've hired that are no longer relevant or you no longer need. And so there's all sorts of just money going out. It's like a hole in the boat, and you're trying to scoop all this water out. Well, you can't until you fix the hole. So guys, we need to get crystal clear on where our money is coming from and where it's going. I recommend a budget. Dave Ramsey has great information. If you just type in budget, a lot of banks actually have online budgets that you can use. There's plenty of online platforms that you use. I personally just track it through QuickBooks, and I can see what my income is, where the income's coming from, all of the expenses. From a business standpoint, I have an accountant and a bookkeeper who sends me a profit and loss statement every month and says, here's what came in for the month, here's what went out. And then I can pour over that data and I can look at it relative to what it was last year. And I can look at some trends. I'm not looking for one-offs, but I'm looking for trends on what we can do to grow the business, grow the revenue, and then reduce costs while I'm at it. On the personal front, it's very much the same way. If you're married, I would suggest that you and your wife sit down and you do this on a weekly basis, where you sit down, You track all your income. You talk about what unforeseen expenses are going to come up. You look at where unnecessary expenses are occurring. And just by tracking it alone and being aware of it, now you give yourself the ammunition that you need to be able to build wealth because you know where you're starting from. It's like jumping on a scale. If you want to get strong and fit and lean, the first thing you got to do is jump on a scale and know exactly where you are today. That's number one. Number two, next thing we need to do is we need to plug the hole. I talked about this a little bit. So many of us want to just pour more money into it. And I'm going to talk about that. We should. It's very important that you learn how to be a money-making machine as a man. And I'm going to share with you some principles that I employ in my own personal life to build this seven-figure business that we have over the past 8 years now. But guys, you've got to plug the holes. Okay, you have to look at your poor spending habits. You have to look at where unnecessary expenses are. There might even be fraud on your account, and you're not even aware of fraud on your account because you're not looking at your statements on a daily or at a maximum a weekly basis. I tend to look at my statements every 2 days: Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm always looking at my statements to see where things are going, where they're coming from. And then I can pick up on fraudulent activity. I can pick up on subscriptions that maybe I had forgotten about. I can look at unnecessary expenses. Maybe I'm eating out more than I would like. From a business standpoint, maybe I'm pouring money into something that historically isn't proving to produce any results. Why would I continue to spend money that way? And yet we do, because we don't go back and look at it. And we think the answer is just more income, more income, more income, more income. Well, I can get you a great rate of return on money that you're already making if I can teach you to spend $200, $500, $1,000 a month less. And now we can deploy that money that you were throwing down the drain, and we can deploy it into avenues that are going to help create investment opportunities for you, that are going to create passive income, that are going to allow you to buy real estate. They're going to allow you to invest in your own business, all because we're going to recapture what's already going out. And that's such low-hanging fruit that so many people overlook. I could make you all the money in the world, but unless we have all the holes plugged in the boat, it really doesn't matter because you're going to lose it anyways. So let's plug the holes. Let's figure out where they are. And then let's come up with a systematic way to get rid of those holes and take care of that. All right, number three, now we're going to start getting into building wealth. Okay. And I'm not talking about invest in real estate and invest in this stock market. I'm talking about more generalized, more broad advice, but this is going to help you understand how I've been able to build wealth in my life and how the over 450 guys that I've interviewed, hyper successful men that I've interviewed, have built wealth in their lives. And the first thing that you need to start doing is investing in yourself. You need to develop new skills. You need to develop a skill set that's going to help you sell something down the road. So that might be going to a course, going to a conference, paying for something like the Iron Council. You know, you might say, well, that's $97 a month. That's just a lost cause. No, it isn't. It's $97 a month that's going to help you learn new skills and a new way of doing things so that you can then take that money, or excuse me, that knowledge and that information, and you can go deploy it in your own life to build abundance. We just had a guy on the call this morning. I don't know how much he was making, but he said that he got a 250% pay increase over the past almost a year now, because it was at the main event last year. So in a year's time frame, he had conversations with guys inside the Iron Council that were holding him accountable, that were holding his feet to the fire. He was applying the information he learned, and he went from making X amount to a 250% increase in his income. Guys, what is that going to do in your life? If you're making $100,000 this year and all of a sudden now you're making $250,000, what is that going to do in your life? What vacations are you going to go on? What trips are you going to belong to? Who are you going to be able to serve? What money and charity are you going to be able to donate to? All because you learned new skills that were marketable and you were willing to invest in yourself. Most people aren't. And that's why most people are broke. They're doing the bare minimum to get by. Think about a work employee-employer relationship. They'll do just enough. They'll get in at just the right amount of time. They'll do what they're asked to do, but nothing more. They'll clock out. They'll punch out for the day exactly when they have to leave. They're not going to stay a minute longer. They're not going to invest in going to conferences. They're not going to invest in programs that companies even offer to pay you for higher education or advanced training. They're just doing the bare minimum. Don't do the bare minimum. Do as much as you possibly can. And if you do that, opportunities will unfold themselves before you, not by some miraculous happenstance, but because you're creating opportunities, you're adding value, you're becoming more marketable, and people see that and they want to make sure that you stick around with them. This is how we do it. So go to a conference, buy a course, join the Iron Council or another organization. There's all, I don't even have to explain this. Like, there's so many different opportunities, but I would say start with a course, start with a program, start with a conference, or start with some sort of a mastermind like the Iron Council or the like. You do that, you're going to develop some skills that are really going to help you be marketable. Number 4, invest in new equipment. I was on a road trip over the weekend, and I was driving back from Salt Lake to St. George, and I walked into this bathroom, and this bathroom was disgusting, as a lot of gas stations are, their bathrooms. Disgusting. There was trash all over the ground, piss all over the toilet seat and all over the floor. There was actually a toilet paper roll on the dispenser, but the dispenser cover had been ripped off, so it was just sitting there. And then there was a spare, and it was sitting on the ground with all the pee and everything else that was on the ground by the toilet. And I thought, I hope this is not the toilet paper roll that they're using to put on here when this one runs out. I'm sure they are. There's graffiti. The mirrors are all scratched. It stinks in there. It's just horrible. And I understand why somebody wouldn't take advantage of cleaning that up, because it's a cost, right? It's a cost to do those things. If you look at the podcast, it's a cost when I buy a new camera like I have right now, or I spend a little time doing my backdrop, or I get a teleprompter like I have right now, or I invest in a new computer, or I pick up some new lighting. It's a cost. And so most people only see it as a cost, and they think, well, this one's fine. This equipment will do. The bathroom, yeah, it's disgusting, but people don't really care about that. This will do. That's the furthest thing from the truth. Guys, we need to invest not only in new skills, but we need to invest in new equipment, new tools of the trade, because it's going to help you do your work more efficiently, more effectively, faster. It's going to look nicer. It's going to come across more professional. People are going to see the way you're doing it, and they're going to say, I want to invest in that person. Imagine if I go into a restaurant, and what are the tools of the trade for a server, let's say? Well, it's the way they present themselves. It's the way they communicate. It's how they take an order. And so if I go in and somebody comes up to me and they are a slob, their clothes are all dirty and gross, they're rude and demeaning, they don't have any sort of system for tracking my order, so maybe they'll put my order in wrong. How confident do you think I am in that person's ability to serve me effectively? Not very confident. If, on the other hand, I go in and a person approaches me, they're well groomed, they're pleasant, they look nice based on the environment they are, they're elevating the environment, they're elevating my experience, they've got a tablet or an iPad where they're taking the order and they're laughing and they're joking and they're playing, we're having a good time together. How confident am I in that person? And if I'm more confident, I'm going to have a better experience, which means 2 things. I'm going to tip that server better, of course, and I'm also going to come back. And when I come back, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to bring other people, and they're going to have a good experience because of this server, and they're going to tip well, and they're going to bring people back. So we look at investing in camera equipment, or a new hammer, or if you're a carpenter, or new paintbrushes, or a new sort of canvas if you're a painter, new technology and software if you're in a business that tracks data. And we think, oh, this is just too expensive. It's not too expensive. It's a cost, but more importantly than that, it's an investment in your future, and it's an investment in growth. If this gas station, to bring this full circle, would have invested in cleaning up their bathrooms, maybe it needs to be retiled or repainted. Maybe a door needs to be replaced because the door handle is not working. A new dispenser so toilet paper is not sitting on the piss-soaked ground near the toilet. Maybe clean the toilets every once in a while. Do you think maybe I'd stop at that place in the future? Of course I would. I will never stop at that gas station again, because that's a gas station or a business that doesn't care enough about me for it to warrant me coming back in there. Guys, invest in new equipment and, do it reasonably. I'm not saying you have to take out a loan and go broke just so you can invest in new equipment. I certainly haven't, as I've bought thousands and thousands, tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars of technology over the past 8 years. I didn't do that all up front, but I gradually built, and I'm always trying to elevate the experience that you're having because you're important. And I know that if I create a situation where you feel valued as a listener, as a subscriber, as a member of Iron Council, as a person who buys our products, then you're going to come back. You're going to feel good about the decisions you're making to support us, and you're going to bring people with you. This is a no-brainer. All right, number 5. I don't even know why I need to say this, but I do. Guys, you're not in business and you're not an entrepreneur until you sell something. Okay, everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Everybody wants to build a business. And I see so many guys who are having a hard time selling something, anything. Until you get to that point, all you're doing is planning, strategizing, brainstorming, but you're not really actually in the business yet. I saw a quote that said, thinking about doing the thing is not the thing. Planning on doing the thing is not the thing. Talking about doing the thing is not the thing. Sending emails about doing the thing is not the thing. And it just went down this list of things that aren't the thing. The thing is, as an entrepreneur, is you sell something. So you need to create something as quickly as you possibly can. For us, it was actually the Iron Council. It was a very limited version when we very first started in 2015. I started at the end of 2015, and it was a 12-week course available for 12 guys, and it was $100. And we sold out of that course immediately. And I realized, okay, now we're on to something. Maybe you're selling sponsorships. Maybe you're selling a course. Maybe you're selling yourself, your services that you might offer as an attorney or a CPA. Maybe you have a program available. Maybe you're doing some coaching or consulting. Maybe you have a conference. Maybe you have something that somebody else is building or making, and you want to go sell that as it's an affiliate of sorts. These are all ways to sell something. Okay. And if you don't know where to start, find some stuff around your house and put it up on Facebook Marketplace and go make $1,000 this weekend. If you go make $1,000 this weekend with stuff that's lying around your house, you're going to feel good. You're going to be able to apply that $1,000 towards debt or towards savings or investing in a new business. You're going to clear out your house, and you're going to feel good about your ability to actually go out and add, what do we say? Perceived value. So if we take a table, for example, and you decide to sell this table that you've had out in your garage for the past 4 years, and you sell it for $200, what that means is that person who bought it from you saw that as a perceived value, meaning they believe that that table was worth more than $200. Because if they didn't believe it was worth more than $200, they wouldn't have bought it. It wouldn't have been a good deal. And you believe that the $200 they gave to you is worth more than what the table is. So both parties believe different things, but both parties walk away feeling happy and satisfied with the transaction. This is the fundamental base of capitalism and how money and transactions work. So guys, go out there and sell something. You don't have to have the biggest, the greatest, the best, the grandest. You don't even have to have a product. Maybe you're just selling consulting or coaching. So for example, let's say you're a pretty good photographer, and somebody approaches you and says, I've really been trying to get into photography. Here's how you sell something. Oh, really? Tell me what you're looking for. And they explain what you're looking for. And you say, I've been starting to think about doing some coaching to help people with photography. And if you're interested, I'd be willing to coach you. It's $100. And what we would do is we would meet once or twice for an hour next week or in the next 2 weeks. And I would break it down, all the equipment that you need, lighting that would be important to consider, natural lighting, angles, how to edit, what programs, what software you need. And I would be willing to do that. Like I said, it's $100, and it's 2 coaching calls or face-to-face, whatever works for you. And anyways, that's something I'm starting. Guys, you're going to have people sign up for that. And that didn't cost you anything. It's going to cost you, 2 hours of your time, but you're going to make $100 doing it. So don't think that just because you don't have a product or a service or an offering or a package or a website or a this or a that you can't go out and sell something. You absolutely can if you're willing to do it. If you guys came to me or somebody came to me and said, I'm going to challenge you today to sell something you've never sold before, I would be able to do that because I know how important sales are. People cringe and they get all weird about it. That's how the world works. You sell yourself, you sell your products, you sell your services, you sell your offerings, you sell everything. If you're getting married, you got to sell her on why she should marry you. If you're going to look for a job, you got to sell your current or potential employer on why you're a good fit for the organization. It's all about sales. So let's get over the stigma associated with being a sales guy and realize that the world doesn't turn until we go out there and sell something. Number 6, develop relationships with wealthy friends. All right. We've all heard the concept that your network is your net worth. That is entirely accurate. If you're surrounded by people who are broke and they're up to their eyeballs in debt, they don't know how to manage their money well. They talk a lot about building wealth or building businesses, but they don't know how to do it. They're horrible in business. They don't invest in themselves. They don't invest in skills. They talk about bullshit all the time instead of talking about ways to build wealth and abundance and prosperity in their lives. How do you think you're going to do? Do you think you're going to find yourself in that situation and miraculously step out of that situation just because you're the one who's different? You're not different until you're different. So what I would suggest to you is that you go put yourself in the proximity. Ken Coleman with the Ramsey team has a book. I think it's called Proximity, but you find a way to be in proximity with successful people. And I'm not here to tell you that you're going to glean all that information through the force or manifesting it to existence. I'm not going to say that. But what I will say is you're going to pick up a lot of tips. You're going to pick up a lot of strategy. You're going to pick up a lot of insight. You're also going to pick up on the way these people talk, the way they think, the way they look at investment opportunities, the way they view the world. And because you're now exposed to that, you're going to start seeing things differently. If you're not satisfied with where you are in life, you have to put yourself somewhere else. And it might be temporary or momentarily right now, but you have to put yourself somewhere else. So what does this look like? Chamber of Commerce. I mean, that's going to cost you a couple $100 a year, probably. Rotary is another great program for a lot of people who are not only business owners, but have free time on their hands to be able to give back to their communities. Okay, that probably speaks to their level of wealth or abundance. You can go to conferences. You can go to courses. You can wherever you know that people congregate that you want to be around. I mean, we have programs, right? We have events. We have the Iron Council. Guys, you want to be around good people? Just go where they are and then open your mouth and start sharing with them. And the best way to do that is to ask questions. People often say, I don't know how to hit it off with this person. I don't know how to connect with this person. Just ask a question. Hey, so what do you do? I notice you're here at Chamber of Commerce and, I'm thinking about joining and I'd like to network with some successful people because I'm trying to build wealth and prosperity and abundance in a business in my life. What do you do for work? And they're going to tell you, I'm a CPA. Great. How long have you been doing that? 10 years. Oh, that's amazing. That's a good run. Like, what's going well for you? And you're asking because you care, but you're also asking because you want to know. And then that CPA is going to say, oh, these are the things that go well. Just started doing social media. We're getting a bunch of referrals because we asked a certain way for those referrals. Like, you're going to learn this stuff because you're around and you're asking good and powerful questions. So guys, it's all there. If you constantly tell yourself, I don't know how to get around these people and I don't have any value to offer, and you have this idea of this imposter syndrome, you're just making excuses. Okay. You know where they are. They're at meetings, they're at conferences, they're at business workshops. They're trying to improve themselves because they get point number 3 that I shared with you, investing in new skills. All right. Number 7, you have to build your social media presence today. You have to. All right. We've got this program. It's a free program. It's a series of 17 emails that men get when they sign up, and it walks them through how to do goal planning, goal settings, strategy, and then accomplish their goals. And part of it is that I want these guys to be posting on social media. Now, sometimes people will say, oh, you just want them to share what you're doing. Well, yeah, and I'm not an idiot. That's part of it. But the other part of it is I actually want these guys to build a social media presence. And it's amazing to me how many people say, well, I don't have social media. Well, I understand. I get it, why you wouldn't want to. But I can't imagine a carpenter saying, yeah, I don't use hammer. I don't like hammers. Yeah, screwdrivers. No, I don't like screwdrivers. Or a CPA saying, yeah, computer, I like doing it the old fashioned. I don't want to use a computer. A calculator. No, I just do it in my head. That's dumb. And the same is true with social media. Now, I'm not saying I want you to get sucked into the social media vortex and lose yourself and chasing around clout or accolades or notoriety and praise from random strangers on the internet. But man, so many of you guys want to start businesses, and yet I can go look you up, and so few of you have a social media presence. You're not talking about who you are. You're not sharing any of the work that you've done. You're not showing pictures of things that you've built or pictures that you've taken or artwork that you've painted. How are people going to know about what you do? They're not. So get online and use social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X now it's called, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn. I mean, talk about LinkedIn for business opportunities. You want to find where the successful business people are? LinkedIn's a great way to be able to network. But guys, go on there and come up with a schedule. You know, maybe you're not on there every day, but maybe every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you make a post, you follow up with some people, you share some of your work, you share some of your insights. I can't tell you how many opportunities with podcast guests and speaking engagements and collaborations and hunts that I've been on because I'm on social media. Now, granted, we have a large following at this point, but it didn't start there. It started with zero. When I very first joined Facebook, when I very first joined Instagram or X or YouTube and all these other places that we are, it always started with zero. But we built that out over time by adding value, sharing my opinions, being unapologetic about it, and sharing in a way that's relevant, that adds value to people's lives. Guys, build your social media following. Okay. And if you have no desire to do that, that's fine. You can make that decision. Of course, you're fully capable and able to make that decision on your own. But you're missing a lot of opportunity to build an audience because you don't even need to have anything to sell. But I promise you, if you've got 1,000 people following you on Instagram, and then at some point you decide that, hey, I'm going to start doing some coaching on website building, or I'm going to build a website and I can do 3 this month, and you've got 1,000 people on Instagram and you've been talking and sharing and communicating and being social on social media, you can go out and say, hey guys, just so you know, a lot of you don't know, I do website design and builds. I've actually got room for 3 in the next 30 to 60 days. And if you'd like me to build a custom website for you that does X, Y, and Z, I'm available to be able to do that. You have 1,000 people there, you're going to be able to do that. Absolutely, you will be able to do that. This took me forever to realize in the financial planning world. I wasn't using social media. It wasn't as prevalent as it was or as it is now. But if I would have had social media, I would have grown my practice way quicker, way more efficiently than I did because I was not using social media correctly. Use social media, please. Number 8 is invest abundantly. Now, I kind of addressed this already with regards to investing in yourself, but those are going to pay dividends. If you want to hire a coach, some of my greatest leaps in my own personal and professional development comes from hiring coaches. That could be a nutritionist like Johnny Loretti and my exercise. He puts together my exercise training programs. That could be a coach that I hired in my financial planning practice. That could be a coach to help me with some social media stuff. I just hired a business consultant that's going to walk me through and consult with me on some of my financial investments with regards to the business and where I should be allocating money and resources. Some of this stuff's expensive, 5-6 figures that I'm spending on these types of things, but it's crucial that I invest abundantly. If I operate from a scarcity mentality, like, oh, I can't go to this event and I can't invest in that, and I don't know how I'm going to recoup that money, and that's pretty steep, and these are the words I'm telling myself, then I'm never going to invest in opportunities that are going to help me level up. Now, eventually I may get there. I may still produce the result that I desire. It's going to cost me a lot more money and it's going to cost me a lot more time. So instead, I want to leapfrog all of that other bull crap that I don't want to go through. Expensive and dumb decisions that I could make, costly mistakes. I want to skip all of that. James Altucher talks about it in his book, Skip the Line. I want to skip the line. Some people think, oh, that's wrong. You should wait in line like everybody else. Well, that's fine. You can complain about that while you're waiting in line. And while I've skipped past all of you guys and I'm out here actually building the life that I want, developing the tools, the systems, the resources that you guys need, and then creating a life of fulfillment and abundance for me because I didn't want to stand in line. Now, I'm not saying you should be reckless. I'm not saying you need to go into absurd amounts of debt. I've gone into debt. I've paid with debt for some of my coaching and investments that way. I'm not telling you to do that, but it is something to consider, because I know if I invest abundantly in my life and in my business, that it will be returned to me. I still have to make smart decisions on who I hire and what programs I invest in, but you better believe that I am willing to pour as much money as I need to figure things out so I can create more prosperity down the road. Number 9, very important, falls right in line with the social media aspect. Whatever you do, you are a marketer. Now, I know some people, little goosebumps and the hairs on the back of their neck stand up. I'm not a marketer. I'm not a sales guy. Yes, you are. And if you're not, why? Why don't you want to be a marketer? Like, don't you want to go out and sell yourself? Don't you want to go out and I'm not saying sell your soul, by the way. I'm saying sell your product, sell your service, sell on why you are the guy to help whoever it is solve their problems. Become good at being a marketer. And I don't care what you do. I don't care if you're a doctor, an attorney, a CPA, a mechanic, a painter, an author, a house cleaner, a janitor, a school teacher. I don't care what you are. But first and foremost, you're a marketer, and you're a marketer who happens to be offering X. So if you're a school teacher, then you're a marketer who offers education to ninth graders. Now you might say, why does a school teacher need to be a great marketer? Because you've got a bunch of impressionable kids who are relying on you to teach them. And so you need to be influential, and you need to communicate and articulate a message in a powerful way so that it lands for them so they can go out and live their lives. If you're like, nope, it's just the material, they just need to learn the material. How well do you think they're going to learn the material? Not nearly as well as if you learned how to market that material in a very unique and powerful way that really landed and resonated. If you cared about those kids, you'd become a marketer. Doctors, same thing. I don't need to market. Like, I'm at the hospital. Like, I don't, that's not my job. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You need to have bedside manner. You need to be able to market or offer or sell or influence on a specific nutrition plan, for example, or exercise regimen or protocol for getting somebody's health back in line. You might need to have conversations with a family member who just lost a loved one. How are you going to do that if you don't understand how to communicate effectively with people, figure out what they're after, help them get to the point where they're trying to get, even in that situation of a lost loved one. I mean, I can't imagine having to do that. But if you can help them in a healthy way move into the grieving process, you're doing a powerful, powerful job, and they're going to think highly of you. And you're going to do what you say you want to do, which is to help people. Guys, we need to get over the concept that I'm not a marketer. I wait for people to come to me and they buy my stuff because it's so good. It's not that good. I promise you, because whatever you have, somebody can get right down the road. That's myself too. There's all sorts of men's programs and platforms and masterminds and Iron Council type like things. Like, I'm not so arrogant to believe that mine is the only one out there or the best. I do believe it's the best because I'm biased, but I realize that's an opinion. So I better figure out a way to market it effectively so that I can actually implement it and help people in their lives. Guys, become a marketer. If you want to build entrepreneurial success and wealth, then you're going to learn how to become a good marketer. And by the way, all the guys that you listen to are good marketers. You wouldn't listen to them if you weren't. These are guys like Bedros Keuilian, Andy Frisella, Jocko, Montana Knife Company, Origin, David Goggins, Cameron Haynes. Like, the guys that we've had on the podcast, they're good marketers, and you only listen to them. Yes, Jordan Peterson. Yeah, you listen to them because of their message, but if their message or their marketing was off, you wouldn't listen to the message, because there's plenty of people saying what Jordan Peterson says, but he says it in a way and he communicates it in a way that actually lands for you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening. All right, I think I beat a dead horse on that one. The next one here, guys, again, we're talking about taking control of your financial destiny, entrepreneurial secrets to building wealth. This last one is you need to hire, outsource, and partner. All right, you're not going to do this alone, at least to scale. You can do pretty well. You can make some good money, but unless you're hiring people to fill the gaps, unless you're looking for specialties that you need within your business and your organization and filling those with the right people, you're going to miss out on some powerful opportunities. You don't even need to hire them anymore. You can outsource payroll or accounting, for example, or HR. I've got a great designer, Todd Van Fleet. He's not an employee of mine. I outsource that. So I hire his business, his firm, to be able to do a lot of our design work. Chad Robeson, the reason that this podcast sounds as good as it does, typically when it doesn't sound that great, it's my fault, not his. But the reason that it sounds so good is because I've hired him as a general contractor. So I take all of the audio files and video files, I send it to Chad. He works at his magic and he puts it through his programs and levels the audio and does all the stuff I don't know how to do. I used to do it. I don't do it anymore. And he does that. And I've hired him to do that because that frees up my time to focus on the things that are important to me. Partnerships. We're looking at doing a big event in 2024. I could do it on my own. Yeah, sure. Or I could partner with other people. Larry Hagner with Dad Edge and I have talked about partnering. I partner with Warrior Poet Society Network. I've partnered with Origin out of Maine. I've partnered with Montana Knife Company. I've partnered with Sorinex. These are all partners of mine. And yes, they're financially profitable, but also I've developed and built great relationships. I am implementing the step I told you about, getting around the right people, developing relationship with wealthy friends. I'm putting myself in proximity to those individuals who are successful, and I'm learning and growing and developing and figuring out things from them. Guys, we have to do this. I believe as men, we have a moral duty, responsibility, and obligation to build the maximum amount of wealth in our lives in a righteous way. We can do it unrighteously for sure. So I want to make no qualms about that. We want to build wealth in a righteous way because that means you're adding value. And that means that other people, because it's perceived value, see what you're doing, value what you're doing, and are willing to trade their hard-earned dollars for the product, service, or offering that you have. And then it's your duty and responsibility to now take that resource. And this is what men do. We take raw ingredients, resources, and we deploy them in effective ways to serve ourselves and to serve the people that we care about. And that means trips with your family. That means paying off debt. That means building emergency funds. That means giving to charity. That means working at organizations that are important to you without the anticipation of pay because you have the financial freedom to be able to do so. Guys, get wealthy. Get that thing out of your mind of like, oh, wealth is bad, money's evil. Get that out of your mind. Instead, realize that you can live a life of abundance and prosperity, and you can help other people do the same. But that's going to be reliant on you to build wealth and to help them do that as well. All right, guys. As a parting reminder, we do have the Iron Council, which is open. I'm talking about these principles in depth and a whole lot more. So if you want to invest in yourself, that's what I said in point number 3, invest in new skills. And also point number 6, developing relationship with wealthy friends. Then, and point number 8, which is to invest abundantly. Then join us inside the Iron Council at orderoman.com/Iron Council. It's only open for a few more days, so get on it this weekend. All right, guys, go out there, take action, build financial freedom, and become the man you are meant to be.